I don't really view a running back, number one, who's already been signed to a massive contract. So we don't even get him on a cheap rookie sort of deal, but also has had a pretty extensive injury history the last couple of years. I just don't think trading a first round pick would be worth it for any team. I don't think there's actually a single running back in the league that I would be willing to trade a first round pick and a player for.
I don't think they're going to trade McCaffrey unless it's for a first,
Yeah.
and I don't think anyone, like you mentioned, is going to give a first and a player for McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now, going to be talking about another person whose name has popped up multiple times, I think, over the past 2 months in trade rumors. It's Mr. Christian McCaffrey of the Carolina Panthers. Popped up, about a month or so ago. It was really early into the offseason, or maybe in the playoffs. And then, died down. And then recently, this last weekend, I think there's a report that Panthers are looking for a first and I think like a player for Christian McCaffrey as the price that they have stated. So, John, do you think this is real, and do you think that they'll move on from him? And I guess also, what are some places you would envision McCaffrey, if he has moved on, that would be good fits or realistic fits?
I think this is real. I don't think it'll happen because, to be perfectly honest, I don't think there's actually a single running back in the league that I would be willing to trade a first round pick and a player for. The only one that I think I would consider would be Jonathan Taylor, but you've even seen it in like our mock drafts, and I think we're pretty similar in this, that I wouldn't even draft a running back in the first round. And so I don't really view a running back, number one, who's already been signed to a massive contract. So we don't even get him on a cheap rookie sort of deal, but also has had a pretty extensive injury history the last couple of years. Although he's incredibly talented and had one of the greatest seasons by a running back of all time, I just don't think trading a first round pick would be worth it for any team, in my opinion, personally. I just think you can get away much more impactful player at a much more impactful position for that sort of value. Anyway, so I don't think it'll happen, especially for that price tag. But if hypothetically he was to be traded and there were specific teams that wanted to go out there and get him, I really look for certain teams that are wanting to be competitors, because I don't think that you're going to make a big time move like that for a guy like McCaffrey unless you believe that you can go out there and use him come playoff time. So I really love the fit of a potential Bills pairing him and Josh Allen. Like, that just seems like a really dynamic duo.
And the Bills probably would be willing. They have a late first round pick, so they probably might be willing to say, "Yeah, sure, we'll trade the first for him and X player." But anyways, continue.
Yeah, so I just think, man, you put Josh and Christian McCaffrey in the backfield together, that would just be such a unique duo, because Josh, obviously we know he's an amazing thrower, but like his running style, he can sort of fill that speed out of your running back, and you can get another running back to sort of pair him with that. But if you have him and McCaffrey both in the backfield, like the options you have with the runs, the bootlegs, even the way that you can get McCaffrey specifically involved in the receiving game by having Josh run all over the place and still throw it to him. I think that'd be a really good fit. So the main fit to me is him going to Buffalo. But there's obviously, we talked with all the other running backs, the litany of teams that could be interested in a running back, like the Dolphins, or obviously the Buccaneers if they lose Leonard Fournette, all these kind of other teams. But I think a lot of those other teams, it's just harder for me to wrap my mind around them shelling out an asset like that for a guy like McCaffrey. I don't expect this to happen once again either, but all I'm saying is if you're the Kansas City Chiefs and you got a guy like McCaffrey, that would be maybe the most insane offense of all time, because we know how good they have it with Mahomes and Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman's speed, but you add a dynamic receiver out of that backfield like McCaffrey, that'd be crazy. It happens because they've never really invested that much assets into the running back outside of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I don't want to say he's been bad, but I don't think he's lived up to the first round billing. And so I don't think that they're going to go out and throw out another first round pick for a guy like McCaffrey. But you never know. Once again, maybe if that asking price comes down, they send Edwards-Helaire back over to Carolina and they throw in like a second or third round draft pick. Kansas City would be a pretty crazy destination too.
Yeah, I was just say too. That's a really good one. We've seen guys like Jamal Charles put up great numbers in that offense, and that was an Alex Smith offense with no other real weapons. That was before Kelsey became Kelsey, and then we saw another instance with Andy Reid in Philadelphia with Brian Westbrook and Donovan McNabb. So that would be a very scary pairing. One more team I want to throw out too is maybe Arizona. I mean, you want to maybe try to keep Kyler around, maybe push it, and you may lose both your running backs. Maybe they say, okay, we'll keep James Conner, for a cheap price again, but we'll say bye to Chase Edmonds because we can grab, Christian McCaffrey. And I would hope too that maybe it would entice Cliff Kingsbury to be more creative in the run game, kind of like we saw the first year, towards the end of the year with the Arizona Cardinals. But regardless, I mean, just another weapon for Kyler, and really no excuses for them. But that would be another team I want to throw in there. But I'm with you. I think this is, like you mentioned, maybe they're just looking for a team to offer a first and the players so they can pull the trigger, because they do need to address offensive line in the draft. But they also may be looking for quarterbacks. Maybe they're trying to get another first so they can get their quarterback early and lineman later. And then, as we mentioned before, draft a running back in the second, third. Yeah, it's not going to be McCaffrey, but you're saving money, and maybe you can be better in other positions as opposed to just, really get a running back. So,
And just real quick, one last destination I think could be interesting would be the Baltimore Ravens. They are actually dead last in the NFL when it comes to throwing to your running backs. So maybe stylistically they don't want him, but I don't know if that's stylistically a problem or if that's the way that they use Lamar and his ability to run. But I think that the biggest criticism, and here's why I think it could be an interesting fit if the offensive coordinator can make the scheme work. The biggest criticism for Lamar is his inability to throw to the sidelines very effectively. And so why not get him the best receiving running back in the game so that you don't have to do that as much, and you get a guy who you can use creatively out of the backfield and up the middle, just to make Lamar's life easier in a different way that doesn't involve him just simply improving at the sideline stuff or getting a better outside receiver. I don't think that criticism entirely on Lamar, but also just the talent that they have outside.
Yeah. And sorry, one more point too. Maybe they're also trying to fish for another first round pick because maybe they're waiting for Deshaun Watson stuff to clear up. Their name was in that hat earlier in the year, and maybe if it's not even Deshaun Watson, maybe they just want that late round first pick to maybe trade for a Jimmy. Not saying he would net one, but like Jimmy G, Matt Ryan, or even any one of these other quarterbacks that may be on the market or another position of need. So. May not just be purely for draft, but like you mentioned, last to end the point, I don't think they're going to trade McCaffrey unless it's for a first, and I don't think anyone, like you mentioned, is going to give a first and a player for McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So, probably just more noise than news there.